May is Women's Health Month. A growing number of women are taking charge of their fertility by choosing to freeze their eggs. This is especially popular among women in their 30s. Why are they doing it, and how does it work? At the age of 32, Sabrina Kamer could feel her biological clock start to tick.
I still had at least like 2 years of residency left. And residency is pretty difficult.
An OBGYN resident at York Hospital, her career was consuming a lot of her time, and she was also single. So she made a decision that's becoming increasingly popular with women of her generation.
I decided that I could freeze my eggs and kind of be able to put off childbearing and not have that stress and worry.
With the help of Shady Grove Fertility in York, Sabrina underwent weeks of testing, blood work, and injections, and finally an egg retrieval under sedation, which was successful.
I think 36, which is a lot, and kind of, yeah, I was a very, very good responder. It was a little uncomfortable afterwards, but I rested for a day and I was back at work the day after. It definitely gave me peace of mind and let me kind of focus on my studies and on my residency, as opposed to constantly worrying about, my fertility and my future.
I'm hearing so many amazing stories of women just wanting to empower themselves with this option.
Dr. Kara Wynn with Shady Grove says more and more women are choosing this option, delaying motherhood to focus on their career or finding a life partner. In fact, Shady Grove has seen a 387% increase in this procedure over the past 8 years.
When you do freeze your eggs, that age that you freeze them, that's the age that the eggs are frozen. So later on, when you use them, it could be 10 years later, you're still using eggs that were 10 years younger at that point.
She calls it locking in your reproductive potential and says it's also an option for women with health concerns, such as cancer.
And these may be the only precious eggs they'll ever have before they go through their chemotherapy or their surgery treatment for their cancer.
After the eggs are retrieved, they are frozen indefinitely. When women decide they are ready to start a family, the eggs can be thawed, fertilized in a lab, and implanted. And there's no impact on future fertility.
So she was unexpected. But it kind of just happened.
Sabrina can attest to that. She gave birth to her daughter in February, conceiving naturally after her egg retrieval.
Her name is Addison Rose. She was 6 pounds, 13 ounces when she was born. I kind of still can't believe she's mine and I had a baby, but it was worth all of it.
She's set to graduate in July, and although motherhood came a little earlier than she expected, she says her frozen eggs give her peace of mind for her future, especially as she nears the age of 35.
I'm definitely considering in the future using them and giving her a sibling. I always feel like I have that backup, and so if it doesn't work naturally, then I can always use those.
So you might have questions. What's the ideal age to freeze eggs? Shady Grove says between the ages of 30 and 40. They don't recommend freezing eggs after the age of 41, although they say it is an individualized decision. As you can imagine, there is a cost associated with egg freezing, typically around $8,700 per cycle, although some insurance companies provide full or partial coverage for the procedure. There are also financing options available. And what's the success rate? Well, there isn't a lot of data because egg freezing technology is still relatively new, and it all depends on how many eggs you're able to freeze. Shady Grove does advertise success rates between 65 and 80%. Have more questions? We've set up a link to their website on ours, abc27.com. We'll be right back.